The engineer's arrival. The throne room of Celestara shimmered like captured moonlight, its crystalline walls reflecting the violet hues of the planet's twin suns. Princess Liara Thane sat rigidly on her seat, her silver hair cascading down her back like a waterfall of starlight, barely listening as another suitor droned on about trade agreements and strategic alliances. Lord Vection of the Ortun cluster gestured dramatically, his four eyes gleaming with what he probably thought was charm. Your Highness, together our houses could control 3 solar systems. Enough. Liara's voice cut through the air like ice. I've heard this speech before, just with different names. My answer remains no. Her mother, Queen Seraphina, sighed from her adjacent throne. Liara, you must choose someone eventually. You're 26 cycles old. I'm aware of my age, Mother. As Vection retreated with wounded pride, Liara felt the familiar emptiness settle over her. 17 suitors in 3 years, each seeing only a crown, a strategic advantage, a beautiful prize to claim. None had ever asked what she wanted, what she feared, or what made her laugh. That evening, Chief Advisor Renner approached with unusually bright eyes. Your Highness, we've received assistance for the core malfunction. A human engineer has arrived. A human. Liara's interest flickered despite herself. Humans were rare this far from Earth. Why would the Council approve that? Because he's the best. Dominic Hayes, his repaired failing cores on 6 worlds. His waiting in the engineering bay. Curiosity pulled Liara from her chambers. She'd expected someone impressive, perhaps intimidating. Instead, she found a man in his early 30s crouched beside the main console, tools scattered around him, muttering to himself in concentration. His dark hair was disheveled, grease smudged his cheek, and he wore practical work clothes instead of formal attire. You're late, she said coldly, testing him. He glanced up, unfazed by her presence. Traffic was terrible. 3 asteroid fields and a solar storm. His lips quirked. Also, I wasn't aware ancient energy cores operated on a schedule. No one had ever spoken to her with such casual irreverence. Liara found herself fighting the urge to smile. How long will repairs take? Depends. How long have you been ignoring the warning signs? She bristled. We haven't been. These stress fractures are months old. Maybe years. He stood, meeting her eyes directly, no bowing, no averting his gaze. Someone's been neglecting maintenance. Don't worry, I won't tell your royal secret if you don't tell anyone I insulted you within 5 minutes of meeting. Against every instinct, Liara laughed. Breaking protocol. The next morning, Liara found herself returning to the engineering bay, ostensibly to check on progress, though she knew that wasn't the real reason. Dominic was suspended beneath the core housing, his voice echoing as he worked. Hand me the resonance calibrator, would you? She looked at the array of unfamiliar tools. Which one is that? His head appeared from beneath the machinery, surprise flickering across his face. You came back. And alone. He pointed to a silver device. That one. Thanks. I wanted to understand the repairs, she said, perhaps too quickly. Sure you did. His tone was teasing but not mocking. Well, since you're here, hold this stabilizer. Keep it steady. For the next hour, Liara found herself assisting him, following instructions, asking questions. He explained the core's functions with genuine enthusiasm, never condescending, treating her like an equal. On Earth, we have this saying, Dominic said during a break, wiping his hands. You can't really know someone until you've walked in their shoes. What's it like being you, princess? The question caught her off guard. What do you mean? I mean, everyone sees the crown. But what about Liara? What do you do when no one's watching? No one had ever asked her that. She found herself answering honestly. I watch the night sky from the northern tower. I read ancient texts about other worlds. I wonder what it's like to be ordinary. Ordinary is overrated, he said gently. But freedom? That's worth having. Over the following days, their conversations deepened. Dominic shared stories of Earth, oceans she'd never seen, cities that never slept, the simple pleasure of rain. She told him about Celestara's history, her childhood spent in gilded loneliness, the pressure of expectations she never asked for. One evening, as they worked late calibrating the energy flow, their hands brushed reaching for the same tool. The contact sent an unfamiliar warmth through her, and she pulled back quickly. "Sorry," he murmured, but his eyes held hers for a moment longer than necessary. "Dominic," she said quietly, "why don't you treat me like everyone else does?" He set down his tools, considering. "Because you're not everyone else. You're brilliant, curious, and funny when you let yourself be. Why would I treat you like just a title? The council expects." "I don't work for the council. I work for you." He stepped closer, his voice softening. "And I see you, Liara. Not the princess. You." Her breath caught. In the dim light of the engineering bay, surrounded by the gentle hum of machinery, she felt something shift inside her, like a door opening after years of being locked. "I should go," she whispered, but didn't move. "Probably," he agreed, but moved closer instead. The space between them felt charged, dangerous, intoxicating. For the first time in her life, Liara wanted to forget duty, forget protocol, forget everything except this moment. Forbidden proximity. The royal gardens at midnight were Liara's secret sanctuary, but tonight she'd invited someone into it. Dominic walked beside her through paths lined with luminescent flowers, their soft glow reflecting in his eyes. "It's beautiful," he said, then added, "though I'm starting to think you're showing off." She smiled. "Perhaps I am. You've shown me your world through stories. This is mine." They settled on a stone bench beneath a canopy of silver-leafed trees. The twin moons cast everything in ethereal light. Liara felt her pulse quicken at his nearness. "Tell me something true," she said. "Why did you really come to Celestara?" Dominic was quiet for a moment. "I needed to leave Earth. I lost someone, my sister. She believed I could do important work, help people. After she died, staying felt impossible. So I've been running from world to world, fixing things, never stopping long enough to feel anything." Without thinking, Liara reached for his hand. "I'm sorry." He looked down at their intertwined fingers. "You know what's strange? For the first time in 2 years, I don't feel like running." "Dominic." "I know this is complicated," he continued, turning to face her fully. "You're royalty. I'm a wandering engineer. There are probably 1,000 rules about this. But I need you to know, these past weeks with you have been the most alive I've felt in years." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Every suitor who's come here has wanted something from me. Power, status, alliances. You're the first person who's wanted just me." "Not just you," he whispered, lifting his free hand to gently brush a strand of silver hair from her face. "All of you. Your strength, your kindness, your terrible sense of humor." "My humor is not terrible," she protested, but she was leaning into his touch. "Liara." His voice was rough with emotion. "Tell me to stop and I will." Instead of answering, she closed the distance between them, pressing her lips to his in a kiss that felt like coming home and leaping off a cliff simultaneously. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer, and she felt years of isolation crack and fall away. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, reality crashed back. "This is dangerous," she whispered against his shoulder. "I know. My mother would never approve. The council would see you as unsuitable. There could be political consequences." He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "Do you want this? Want us?" The question hung in the perfumed air. Every rational thought screamed at her to say no, to protect her position, to choose duty. But looking into Dominic's eyes, feeling the warmth of his embrace, she knew there was only one answer her heart would accept. "Yes," she breathed. "More than I've ever wanted anything." He kissed her again, softer this time, reverent. "Then we'll figure out the rest together." As they held each other beneath the stars, Liara felt something shift in the universe, or perhaps just in herself. For the first time, she understood what the ancient texts meant when they spoke of love. it wasn't about logic or strategy or perfect timing. It was about finding someone who saw your soul and chose to stay. The choice. The morning after their confession shattered like glass. Liara was summoned to the throne room where her mother stood with Commander Zephan, head of Celestara's defense force, his expression grave. The KRYNN Confederation has issued an ultimatum, Queen Serafina announced. They've discovered instability in our energy cores, information that should have been confidential. Liara's blood ran cold. What do they want? A political marriage. You to their crown Prince Valerix, or they'll cut off all trade routes. We'd be isolated, vulnerable. Her mother's voice softened. I know you don't want this, but we may have no choice. There's always a choice, Liara said quietly. That afternoon, sabotage struck. The newly repaired cores began overloading, threatening a cascade failure that could devastate the city. Dominic raced to the engineering bay with Liara close behind. Someone's reversed the polarity calibrations, he said, fingers flying across controls. This wasn't an accident. Can you fix it? Not remotely. Someone has to manually reset the core from inside the reaction chamber. He met her eyes, and she saw the fear there. The radiation levels, whoever goes in has maybe 5 minutes before exposure becomes critical. Then we evacuate. No time. The core will breach in 3 minutes. 50,000 people live in this sector. Before she could stop him, Dominic grabbed a radiation suit and headed for the chamber door. Liara's hand shot out, gripping his arm. You'll die. Maybe. But I'm not letting those people die because someone wanted to force your hand politically. He cupped her face gently. I told you, I see you. All of you. Including the part that would sacrifice anything for your people. Let me do this for them. For you. No. Tears blurred her vision. I just found you. I can't lose you. Liara, I love you. That's why I have to go. He kissed her fiercely, desperately, then pulled away and sealed himself inside the chamber. Through the transparent shield, she watched him work with terrifying efficiency, his movements growing slower as radiation took its toll. 2 minutes passed like hours. The core began stabilizing. But Dominic collapsed against the console, his suit's warning lights flashing critical. Get him out! Liara screamed at the technicians. They pulled him free as the core sealed itself, now functioning perfectly. Dominic's eyes found hers as medical staff swarmed around him. Worth it, he whispered. In that moment, watching the man she loved suffer for her people, Liara made her choice. She stormed into the throne room where her mother was meeting with the KRYNN ambassador. There will be no marriage, she declared, her voice ringing with authority she'd never fully claimed before. The sabotage was orchestrated by KRYNN agents to force this alliance. I have proof. She held up a data crystal Dominic had recovered. Leave Celestara, or face charges before the Galactic Council. The ambassador's composure cracked. Your Highness, perhaps we can renegotiate. We're done negotiating. Leave. Now. As guards escorted the ambassador out, Queen Serafina studied her daughter with new respect. You've changed. I found something worth fighting for, Liara replied. Someone who showed me that love isn't weakness, it's the greatest strength we have. A new dawn. 3 days later, Dominic woke in the medical wing to find Liara asleep in a chair beside his bed, her hand clutching his. The radiation treatments had worked. He would recover fully. You stayed, he said softly. Her eyes fluttered open, and relief flooded her features. Of course I stayed. Did you think I'd leave? I thought, after everything, you might realize this is too complicated. That I'm not worth the trouble. Liara stood and sat carefully on the edge of his bed, taking both his hands in hers. Dominic Hayes, you nearly died saving my people. You showed me what courage really looks like. You're worth every complication, every challenge, every political headache that comes our way. Your council won't approve. I don't need their approval for everything. I'm still learning that. She smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. My mother has agreed to grant you citizenship and a permanent position as chief engineer. It's not a traditional path for a princess, but then again, I've never been particularly traditional.
Are you sure about this?
About us? Instead of answering with words, she leaned down and kissed him softly, pouring all her certainty into that single gesture. When they parted, she rested her forehead against his. I spent years believing I had to choose between duty and happiness, between my crown and my heart. You taught me I could have both, that love doesn't diminish me, it completes me.
I love you, he whispered.
Every brilliant, stubborn, beautiful part of you.
And I love you.
All your bravery, your kindness, your terrible habit of nearly getting yourself killed.
He laughed, then winced. Still healing here. Then rest. I'll be here when you wake up.
And tomorrow, and all the tomorrows after that. 6 months later, the royal gardens hosted a ceremony unlike any in Celestara's history. Princess Lyara Thane married Dominic Hayes beneath the silver trees where they'd first confessed their feelings. Dignitaries from across the galaxy attended, witnessing a union built not on political strategy but on genuine love. As they danced under the stars, Dominic pulled her close.
No regrets.
Not a single one, Lyara replied, her silver hair shimmering in the moonlight. You once asked what it was like to be me. Now I finally know. It's like being exactly where I'm meant to be.
With a wandering engineer.
With the man who saw me.
Who chose me.
Who taught me that sometimes the greatest act of duty is following your heart. They swayed together as music filled the air, two souls from different worlds who'd found in each other what they'd both been missing, home. And as Celestara's twin moons rose higher, casting their blessing over the celebration below, it seemed even the stars whispered their approval of a love that had defied expectations and rewritten destiny. In the end, Lyara hadn't chosen between her crown and her heart. She'd discovered they could coexist beautifully. And Dominic, the engineer who'd been running from grief, had finally found a reason to stay. Together, they proved that sometimes the most extraordinary love stories begin with the simplest truth: being seen, being valued, and being loved for exactly who you are.
The end.